Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Charles with the latest edition of 5 Minutes with Charles. I apologize, this is actually a little late getting out, but last week with the blow up from Facebook, I felt it was a better idea to actually re-record a episode for last week as well as this week, and here it is. My apologies for it being late, but here we go. Essentially, I want to address this whole thing with Facebook. Basically, a lot of the sensational articles and even the ads you're starting to see about this whole mess with Facebook, they got it all wrong. And some of the estimates are that it was as many as 50 million users had their information, quote unquote, compromised. Well, that isn't really the case, because even if you had the ability to work around the app required tokens to access that data, you still don't have private information. So this is kind of being blown out of proportion. This isn't a privacy issue. This isn't a security issue, but it is a trust issue. It's a public relations nightmare for Facebook. And Facebook is they're running so scared right now that they didn't even send anyone to social media marketing world a couple weeks ago, back in March. So they're really busy with that because they're super sensitive to any kind of bad PR, especially right now. So they're clamping down on things. So let's talk about the whole Cambridge Analytica thing real quick. Cambridge Analytica, actually, this whole incident occurred several years ago. And as many as 10 years ago, at a developer conference, which I did not attend, Facebook came out and basically said to developers that they had to delete third-party data within 24 hours of using it, which is, for the lack of a better term, it's unenforceable. How do you make sure that it's an honor system where basically they were saying, this is what you got to do, and we're going to trust you to do it? And in living in the world we're in, not everyone complies with the rules. So that causes problems. That's where all this actually stems from. But let's look at it from another angle. Trying to enforce something like that is a lot like trying to enforce jaywalking. Traffic signs or something like that, unless, the Facebook police is actually sitting there witnessing it. How many times a day does someone, cut across the center of a street, or they don't come to a complete stop at a stop sign, etc.? The same thing happens. Only you're talking about 2 million plus advertisers every single day, addressed by 5,000 people working in Facebook to approve all these ads. Are they able to keep up with all that? That leaves only a few seconds for them to actually check on stuff as it's coming through. Stuff is going to get missed. Ads are going to get approved that shouldn't have been. Ads that should be approved are not going to get approved. And it's an ugly mess. So let's come back to the other side of that. Now, Facebook is shutting down accounts left and right, including some of the main ones like Blitzmetrics. Dennis Yu of Blitzmetrics had their account shut down. They didn't violate the terms of service, but they got the account banned, and now they're basically being stonewalled from repealing the process. And Facebook is telling them, now, whatever the case may be, your account's shut down. We're not going to reopen it. which is kind of crazy in itself. But the main thing is hopefully they're catching more of the terms of service violators than they are of gigging people like Dennis Yu and the folks at Blitzmetrics from being able to run ads and stuff for their campaigns when they consistently preach follow the terms of service. Anyway, Facebook is removing many of the targeting options, which has frustrated a lot of advertisers. But the thing is even those quote-unquote power advertisers, the marketing algorithm that Facebook uses is much more powerful and accurate than human guesswork ever will be. And especially for people that just run ads on occasion, or they're just kind of experimenting with them. But in any case, I don't think it's that big of an issue, as I've mentioned in a lot of the raw videos that I've been talking about this whole mess with. So let's talk a little bit more about, what are some of the other options. There's like this whole movement of delete Facebook, forget about Facebook and stuff like that, which is about as asinine and knee-jerk reactionary as Facebook's reaction to this whole mess. Facebook isn't going to go away, not anytime soon. So it's not a question of should you or shouldn't you advertise on Facebook. Yes, the vast majority of your potential audience is on Facebook, so you want to continue to use the tools. But there are other tools that are starting to gain in popularity. One of them is LinkedIn. So despite that outcry, consumers and advertisers will still be using Facebook. There's just no way around it. They're still going to be there because you can't afford to not be there. Essentially, what this really boils down to is the end user. The end user is becoming increasingly more gullible. A lot more people are falling for fake news. They're giving up their permissions readily to all sorts of apps and games without ever reading the fine print. I'm guilty of doing it too, but I very much limit the amount of apps and stuff that I use, and basically not being educated about how social media networks work. It's a serious education problem, and it's disguised as a privacy issue. Again, it's not a privacy issue. It's an education issue. It's a trust issue. But as I've stated, last week when I kind of went off on my rant in Charles Snyder Raw on last Monday or Tuesday, there's a definite lack of personal responsibility. People need to read the fine print. If you're going to install an app or run a game on Facebook or on your phone or whatever the case may be, you need to read what they're going to have access to, what kind of information they're going to gather, because I can guarantee you every single app that you have on your phone or on your tablet or any other smart device is going to gather data about you. It happens every time you hit a website. It happens every time you search for something. Bing, Yahoo, Google, they're all doing it. Walmart, Amazon, you name it, they're tracking you, they're gathering information about you, and they're using that information to market to you. So, be that as it may, I hope you take this to heart and pay attention to what's going on and really dig into it and find out what the truth really is. The news media, again, is making it a privacy issue, which it is not. They have not gotten it right. So I'll leave it at that. Again, I apologize for the lateness of this episode getting out, but I felt it necessary to get this information put together and to really get it out there so that you guys can really take a step back and think about what is going on with Facebook and this whole scandal surrounding them. Until next week, which will be later today, I'll film the next 5 Minutes with Charles, and we'll see what that topic is. I'm going to have to dig into the bag. It's April. We're going on to a new topic, so stay tuned. Take care. Love, peace, and chicken.